Hello and welcome back to my channel where I like to have fun with all things beauty while being critical about what I accept into my collection. Today I am doing a Sephora sale video. So in this video, I will be going over my first order, or the first order that arrived. The first order that I placed actually won't be here until tomorrow, which is kind of crazy because that one took a really long time to ship, but my second order did come, so I'm going to go over that. And then I'm going to talk about my thought process when I was placing my orders. What do I think is going to work out? What am I afraid isn't going to work out? My little in-person shopping trip yesterday and that kind of thing. I quickly wanted to clarify, I know in my main recommendations video, I went in hard about returning things, and I know that that could definitely come across as me promoting being wasteful. And I certainly don't mean to do that. I was really promoting that because I'm somebody who never returns anything. Like, I absolutely never return things, and I wind up holding on to stuff that really isn't going to work for me. So part of how I'm being better with my money these days is just actually trying to follow through with returns. So I really was meaning it on that scale. Obviously, I don't think anybody should just buy things with the intention of returning them. You know, if it came across that way, it's not what I meant. I'm also using the Prada Foundation today. So I got a sample for this, and I've been super curious about that foundation since it came out. The ingredient list concerned me a little bit because I know there is a drop of alcohol in there, and for 99% of people that's fine, but for me that's a problem sometimes because when I say I have dry skin, I mean like next level dry skin. So even the smallest amount can affect me negatively. So that was my biggest hesitation. That's why I've never tried it. That, and it's really hard to get a sample because most Sephoras don't carry it in store. So between that and color matching, it's just, I was excited when it came out and then it went on the back burner. So when I saw that in the samples, I was excited because I did really want to try it. So I have that on my face as well. And before I jump in, I have to say, okay, there are timestamps in this video. So very quickly, I just want to make a small PSA about voting. And if that's a sensitive subject and you don't want to hear it, I understand, and you can absolutely fast forward. All of my videos always have timestamps. So I just felt like I had to say something. I am filming this on November 4th, the evening of November 4th. Tomorrow is election day. So tomorrow is the final day to vote. While I don't plan on ever talking politics on this channel because frankly, I don't have the skill set for that. I feel like that takes a certain skill set to be able to communicate things in a way that is just beyond what I can do. I get too emotional, I get too upset, and I just fall apart. So I'm not the person for that. Fortunately, I think that there are a ton of people out there these days that are very good at that. So that's not what I'm ever going to do on this channel. But this being election day and this whole week it's not going to be a normal week. Like, I know for myself anyway that no amount of disassociating will allow me to feel like this week is in any way, shape, or form normal. There's no amount of makeup that can come in the mail to make me forget about what's on the line right now. So I just felt incapable of pretending that it's not happening, despite the fact that I don't think I'll communicate this the best, and despite the fact that I have such a tiny platform, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I just felt like I had to try. Although I have not come across anyone in my life that is actually an undecided voter. What I have come across are people who are not motivated enough to vote. And I find that upsetting, so I try to encourage them to participate, and I figured, I don't know, there's a very small chance that me saying anything here will actually push somebody to vote, but I don't know that it won't. So for my own peace of mind, I guess I'll just talk from my own experience. I don't enjoy the discussions and the debates and everything that surrounds the back and forth and the super polarization that we have today. I find it all very stressful, but I also know to not be political is an extreme privilege. Like, it takes an incredible amount of privilege for somebody to say that they're not political. Marginalized communities do not have the luxury to not care about politics. And I know that, at least when I was growing up, my mindset around the whole thing was that smarter people were in charge. People who knew more than me were in charge, and there were checks and balances. So, like, it's all good. I don't need to get involved. Come to find out that I didn't know anything about how the world really worked, and it turns out none of those things are a given, and things are not just going to slowly keep improving if we don't get involved. Like, if people disengage, the wrong people get in power, and they start taking rights away to stay in power. So I guess I'm really talking to the people who feel hopeless and feel like their vote doesn't matter. It absolutely does matter. It doesn't matter where you live, your vote matters. And we really can't take democracy for granted. Like, I think most people these days who are encouraging voting, that kind of gives away what side they're on, but that's a problem. That's not good. That's actually terrifying. So, I'm not going to sit here and make you read between the lines. I'm on team Kamala Harris, and I'm on team women's rights, LGBTQIA plus rights, rights of marginalized communities. I mean, granted, I certainly don't agree with everything that's going on in the administration right now, but they're not equal. Like, the two sides are not equal, and we could not only lose our rights, but we could lose democracy itself. So it is so important to vote. And although I don't think my platform is big enough to make any difference in the world, I would not be able to pretend that this isn't happening right now. Like, there is no part of me that can pretend that this is a normal week. I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to try not to frankly watch the news like I did in 2020, because I was like sick. By the time that election was over, I was like physically sick because I hadn't slept in so long. I'm going to try really hard not to do that this go around. At this point, voting ends today. So we do all that we can, and then we hope for the best. But because it's not over, and I'm hoping to publish this video before it's over, I really encourage you to just, even if you're disillusioned, what you do makes a difference, and to reach out to anyone you might know who just, a car ride to the poll station might be the difference between them voting or not. Every little bit helps, and that's really it. There's a lot on the line, and I'm very emotionally invested in a lot of it. So I guess I'm taking this as an opportunity both to let everybody out there know where I stand, and also say that this is a safe space. This is a safe space for people who are in marginalized communities. I will never choose silence over creating a safe environment. I can't control my comment section, but I can absolutely block anybody who's problematic. So I will always do that, and I will always speak out when I'm moved. This isn't something that I plan on doing on a regular basis because I don't have the skill set for that. I really wish I did. I would love to be somebody who could, routinely talk about these issues, but I get too emotional and I break down and I don't make sense, and I'm not helping anybody. So I don't plan on doing that. There are a ton of creators who are very good at that. So I'm absolutely going to stick to what I know, which is makeup and not politics. But I absolutely had to say something because this is it. This is the last day. So just don't end the year with any regrets, and it's absolutely worth voting no matter where you are. With that out of the way, I'm really hoping that the rest of my order comes tomorrow, because I'm really looking forward to trying on all of my first picks. So I do place a few orders during this sale, but my first order is always everything that I want most. So I'm really excited to try the Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette. The only thing I'm not so excited about, because I'm probably going to return it, is the Patrick Ta eye duos. So quick rant about that. When I made that purchase, so the sale went live at midnight on Halloween. So at 12:01, November 1st, I placed my order. At that point, I hadn't really seen many reviews. I think I saw one or two real photos. They had some early reviews up on the Sephora website, but I didn't really get the best look at these shadows. I just knew for a fact that they were going to sell out, so I grabbed one before that happened, and I personally went with the one that I thought was the most unique color story. Come to find out, it's less unique than I thought. You know, I knew that it wasn't the most sparkly. I knew already that it was one of the more dull shades, but I could not justify the more sparkly ones. I think there's two that are extra sparkly, the gold and gold and the white and gold. The white and gold is way too similar to something that I have from Pat McGrath, and I'll pop that up on the screen now. I knew there was no way that it would beat Pat McGrath, so like I wasn't going to bother. Besides that, I have that in spades. I have white and gold more times than I could count in probably better formulas. So I knew I couldn't justify that one. And then the gold and gold, I don't like gold. I'm not somebody who really likes gold on my face. So I knew I wouldn't use that. So I went with the duochrome pink and the duochrome white. However, upon further inspection, I realized that I have that from Pat McGrath too. Not only that, but today I saw a review from Lauren May Beauty, which I'll link in the description box because that is the best, hands down, the best, most thorough Patrick Ta duo review that I've seen so far. And I've watched a ton at this point. I've consumed so many. I feel like I have these shadows even though I don't, but her review is the best. So I highly recommend watching that if you're interested in these. I just know that these are not going to stand out in my collection. So while I don't think that $34 is too much for a duo, I think no matter what the brand was, no matter what the price point was, for me to keep these, they would need to be special. Like, honestly, I don't even care about the price at this point. It's $34. I just need them to be good. And I just don't think these are good enough. So I am almost definitely returning them. You know, I just feel like they oversold the specialness of them. You know, it's a nice formula. It's a perfectly nice formula, but it's not that unique. It just isn't. To act like this is some kind of a revolutionary amount of pearl in a formula is just silly because it's not. It's certainly nice, but I think it is only going to be useful for a very select group of people, and that's not people that have as many eyeshadows as most of us do. On beauty YouTube, most people have at least tried indie shadows, and if you've tried indie shadows, these are not going to be impressive. So while I think they absolutely have an audience, I know that that audience is not me. So, you know, even the eye look I did today, I did with the two shadows that I have from Pat McGrath that I think are the most similar. And while, yeah, it's a nice look, it's a pretty look, I like my look today, it doesn't knock my socks off. And I guarantee the shadows that I have from Pat are better and more impactful. So while I'm still excited for the rest of my order, I'm not so excited about that. I also picked up the Hourglass blush, the Westman Atelier Mini Baby Cheeks Trio, the Kulfi Zari Eyes Cream Shadow in Sona Sona, the Dior Foundation Stick in 2 Neutral, a replacement NARS Light Reflecting My Holy Grail Foundation, and the Merit Great Skin Priming and Firming Moisturizer. So I'm really excited for the rest of that. All of those things I think are going to work out. The Patrick Ta duo, not so much, but I'm excited for everything else. So then I let a few days go by. I watched some more videos and I did some soul searching, meditating on my loves list. And I decided that I would go ahead and try the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 3 Matte Shadow Palette. That has been on my loves list since it came out. I have wanted that palette. The only reason I didn't get it was because last year I got the Makeup by Mario matte palette that came out, and I chose that one instead of this one. They both came out around the same time. I went with that one because I felt like the colors were more unique. However, I don't like the formula. I feel like it overblends, and I'm just never happy with how my eyeshadow looks. You know, I use it to set up looks, so I use that often with a shimmer or whatever. It had all the right colors. That's why I bought that one instead, and it just hasn't worked out. So because my Viseart palette is as old as it is, and I do know that I like the Patrick Ta matte formula, I decided to finally go ahead and pull the trigger. If for some reason this doesn't work out though, and I don't like it, I don't expect that to happen, but if it does, I will return it. I also picked up the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Blush Wand. This I am a little bit nervous about, but I really like the shade Pillow Talk because it seemed like such a unique shade. This is another one that I've been thinking about since it came out. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it recently, but I don't know. I guess the curiosity got to me and I finally pulled the trigger. This is another one though. If it turns patchy or if the color is really unflattering, I'm not going to hold on to it just to hold on to it. So that one's a bit more of a gamble. Then I have the Sarah Creel Face Flex Concealer. This is one that the curiosity finally got to me. I do very much expect to like this. I don't know that I'm going to like it better than the Holy Grail concealers I have right now, but I figured if I could get this in a shade that I like, I would really be curious to see it side by side compared with my best concealers right now. I think the price is stupid. I'm a little bit offended by that price. But I don't know, enough people over 40 raved about it that it really piqued my curiosity. And I'm also trying the Sarah Creel, the Adults Are Talking Solid Serum Lip Repair, and I really got this because when I placed the order, my lips were bleeding. It's kind of amazing how many lip balms I own and I still have dry lips. Like, I don't know, amazing or embarrassing. The stuff I have, clearly it's not really working. So I don't know. I heard really good things about this. I got one for myself and I got one to give as a gift, and we'll see. I'll definitely report back. And finally, I picked up the Gucci bronzer in shade 01. This is something that I've been putting off for like 2 years because I bought shade 02 several years ago and that shade just doesn't work for me. It looks muddy every time I put it on my face. So while I'm not happy about the price tag, I am happy to finally figure out if I do actually like that bronzer, and the upside is I'm going to gift the one I own, so that will find a new home with somebody with a darker complexion than me. So that's everything that I ordered so far. The only thing left on my loves list is I was really curious to try the Givenchy Mini Prisme Lead, whatever, the illuminating color correcting loose powder. I have the original formula in the rosy shade, and I really love that powder. I've heard conflicting reviews. Not everybody hates the reformulation, so I'm sort of curious to give this color combination a try. Sometimes the only thing I don't like about the shade I have is that sometimes it's too brightening. Sometimes I want to use it all over my face, and if I put it on my forehead, it looks like I put white powder on my face, and that's not what I'm going for. So I'm curious on a couple levels. I'm curious to see how the formula really is in person, and I'm also curious to see how this color combination works for me. I did go in store and try to look at this powder, but my store doesn't have this, so I would have to try it online. Haven't placed that order yet, but I'm definitely thinking about it. Some other things that I was interested in, and I'll pop pictures on screen. The first was the Armani liquid eyeshadows in Sparkle. This shade, I thought it was really beautiful, but I did come to the conclusion that I think it would be too drying on my eyelids. I was also interested in the Say Blush Trio, but when I went in store and I saw these shades in person, I was just like, there's no way that these shades are going to work for me or anybody on my gift list. So it was really helpful to see that. I also swatched the Merit Blush Trio, which I feel the exact same way about. So that made those decisions easier. When I was in store, I also looked at the Kosas blush powders. They were out of the mini trio, but they had the full sizes, and I just sort of walked away feeling like they were okay. So I'm still on the fence about trying one of those. I can't quite decide, but we'll see. You know, every time I make a purchase, I put it in my Instagram story. So if you're interested to see what I pick up between now and the end of the sale, it'll be there first. And now, without further ado, I'm going to talk about everything I have on my face today. So the Prada Reveal Foundation. So this has two things in it that are not going to work for me. So the number one is the alcohol denaturant. I knew that alone made this risky. On top of that, it has sunscreen, and I just really haven't met an American sunscreen that I agree with. I can't use zinc and I can't use chemical. I import sunscreen and I like those formulas so much better. I don't even care that I can't use American sunscreen, but sometimes when it's in foundation, it's a problem, and this is a problem. I don't think my makeup looks horrible today. You know, from a distance, it looks all right. I wouldn't say it's blurring or filter-like, but I certainly don't look hydrated. I'll put it that way. I'll add a video and a little bit of close-up, but yeah, I guess I was tempted by this mostly because people said it was blurring, and I'm like, I am covered in texture, so when I hear blurring, I'm like, sign me up, please. But this definitely didn't do me any favors, so I'm really glad I got to try it, but I will be absolutely passing on that. Then in this little Sephora set, I was really mostly interested in the Danessa Myricks blush. I own the Lawless, and because I own and love the Lawless blush, I'm gifting this one to somebody else. That and the Summer Fridays lip balm. So I already have the Summer Fridays lip balm in iced coffee. I will say the one that you get in the gift set is a little bit bigger, so it's not quite as teeny tiny as the mini. I think this is 7 grams and the super mini is 5 grams. But, you know, this is a nice lip balm. Again, not life-changing, but it really smells like a latte. So if you're into that, I think you would like the experience for that reason. The other thing I really like in this set is this Patrick Ta lip balm. This reminds me a lot of the Lawless Forget the Filler, but it's just a little bit more spicy, tingly. Certainly not uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable at all, just a little bit more oomph than that, but it has a similar feeling on the lips. Next would be this Pat McGrath lip gloss. This is pretty. I mean, it's nothing super unique. I have a lot of her lip glosses, so, you know, it's nothing crazy revolutionary, but it's a nice formula. Then for the things that worked less well for me, this Refi lip blush in the shade Wine. This pulls a little bit orange on me. It's not my best color. I don't think it's unusable. I'm gonna try with other, like today my look was very pink. So I felt like it made it look even more orange, so I couldn't wear it with today's look. But I'll play around with it a little bit in the future. Maybe I can make it work with other looks. Unfortunately, the thing that worked out least well for me in this set would probably be the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blush. This is shade Rose and Brunch, and it's a pretty shade. Like when I swatched this, I had high hope. However, when I actually blended it into my skin, I felt like it turned into more of a stain. So I do expect that this is extremely long wearing, and for that reason, I have someone in my family that says that their face eats blush. So I'm gonna give it to them and I'm gonna see how they do. In the meantime, I'm gonna try it a few more times before I make my final verdict, but at least initially, I don't think it's doing any favors for my texture. I had hoped that the Upslight or whatever in this would be a little bit blurring and sort of a more powdery finish. And while it's not dry, I can say that it's certainly not drying my skin out. It just doesn't look the best, and I can't truly put my finger on why. But at least on initial application, I mean, this is my second use. I put this on when it came in the mail last night. I put way too much on. It looked terrible then. I used an extremely light hand today, and it definitely looks a lot better, but I don't know. At least initially, I am not in love with it. I'll try to put some footage of it on my hand, so maybe you can see what I'm talking about when I say it's kind of a stain, but for me, it looks like it's bringing out hyperpigmentation or something. I want to say the first time I put it on, it made me feel like I was starting to get like pink melasma, like new melasma that I didn't have before, but now it's pink. So I don't know if that's just a me thing, but for whatever reason, I wasn't in love. So hopefully I changed my mind on that, but that's my first impression. So while I still think this was the most appealing set to me out of all of the Sephora sets, I still don't really think everything in it is a home run, and I would highly recommend if I were to look at this and tell somebody else what to buy, I would say the Lawless blush. You could skip everything else, but that's just my 2 cents. So anyway, that's everything I have for this video, and like I said, my main order should be coming tomorrow. I'm hoping. Sometimes my mail comes at like 10 p.m. So I'm really hoping that doesn't happen because I would love to do a first impression video with that tomorrow, and hopefully I won't place many more orders so I can do a full haul at the end and break down what I spent and what I think is and isn't worth it. And my goal is to get all of that out before the end of the sale. But what I will say is if it's anything like last year, there will be another 20% off day. It's for everyone. So every tier gets 20% off. So especially if you're not Rouge now, wait for that. You know, I know they had the little coupons that you could share with people that weren't rouged for them to get 20% off for a few days, but that's not the only way. There is another opportunity for 20% off for everyone coming up. So definitely something worth keeping in mind if you're not rouged, or frankly, if you miss out on anything, because between now and then, they might restock it. Also, it's a good idea to always check Kohl's, because I know that the Kohl's tend to be a lot smaller in terms of their inventory, but they also don't sell out as frequently. So it's always good if you're really looking for something and they don't have it at Sephora to always check there as well. So that's everything I have so far. I hope you're having a fabulous week wherever you are. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.